weightlifting and the running, and what I wanted to ask you, you started to talk about it a little bit, but you transitioned to the 80-10-10, and then when you did that, were there effects on the sinuses at that time, or the sinuses are still pretty much the same? And what were the benefits you noticed when you did go raw?
The sinuses really didn't make a big difference. It's more like a seasonal type thing. It just gets really dry and it really hurts. And I think it's a moisture with the air. Um, Other effects that I found that just felt better. I noticed like eating rice particular. I don't know what it is about rice, but it makes me really nauseous. I
Huh.
try adding it back to the diet because I wanted to save money and things like that. And I just after a while, after like a day, and I can't eat it. I eat it without some kind of seasoning, without some kind of salt, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world, but if you can't eat something else with some kind of condiment or anything like that, that should say it's something about. But it would make me kind of nauseous.
Is
There's certain,
that both white and brown rice?
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. After a while, oh, interesting thing with wheat products. I try eating pasta again and like refined pasta and things like that, or even just wheat. Well, I try not to eat so. I did eat some kind of bread or something on in the beginning with this diet, and I had the same thing, the same reaction. I was bleeding in my butt.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, it's kind of funny. I was talking about the doctor with he's like, oh, stay away from bananas. They're going to constipate you and they're going to give you worse things. Well, I did 6 days of just eating bananas. 6 days of just eating bananas, and I went to the bathroom like 3, 4 times a day.
You
So
know,
bananas do not
Mike,
constipate you.
this is a huge point. I mean, the doctor doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I learned this in dietetic school, so I don't understand where they're getting this notion. Maybe they're eating unripened bananas, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can see that, but it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I was going to the bathroom, I was fine. Yeah, and also I want to talk about the soil. Okay, one of the things that in Doug Graham's book is he talks about the difference between some of the fibers in some of these whole grains. They're really scratchy to the intestines,
Yeah.
and he says that it's insoluble fiber and it doesn't like absorb water. It doesn't turn in like a jelly like with fruits. So it actually can be really it can like scrape your intestines, just like it's like almost eating broken glass. He described it to, and then
Wow.
seemed to be exactly what was happening to me. The thing with like fruits, they got the soluble fiber, which takes in water and comes in like a jelly. So your body actually loves it, and it's interesting enough. I think that's the one of the only that's the fiber that they say that you can put on a label. That's why oatmeal has a lot of soluble fiber. They can say it reduces heart disease and everything else. But when it comes to insoluble fiber, it seems like the soluble fiber was the one that you need the most of.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
so that's interesting. Yeah. So uh,
Well, something else I wanted to ask you. Yeah, that's a great point. I still do eat some grains, but I can see how they're just not um, they're not natural. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I
So
mean, I don't think they're the worst thing in the world. I mean, they're definitely not the worst thing in most of the world. That's what they eat. They eat a starch-based diet
right.
out there. Also, what I found with wheat products, I tried eating some pasta and stuff on this diet, and I got this yellow stuff coming out of me, and I can't control it. I mean, it's like out of my butt. It was just yellow, bright yellow, and I had no idea what that is. I want to kind of repeat that experiment and maybe get it on film. I know it sounds really gross. I don't know, but it'd be nice to see if anybody else has that out there.
That's weird. That's really
Action.
weird.
So, and another thing, the stuff. Oh yeah, I used to be. I'm very sensitive. I found that I was very. I remember one time I was doing the whole diet really strict for a year, and then Thanksgiving came along. My mom, one of my parents' house, and they had a green beans from a can. I was like, oh, what's the big deal? It's green beans from a can. And, this is my big splurge from fruit. Green beans. And I'll eat the green beans. And I
Yeah.
got really sick. I was like, oh my God, this whole cooked food is a poison. But
Isn't
what
that
I
amazing? That's
yeah,
amazing.
the reaction I got from it's a full body nausea. But it wasn't so much the green bean of itself. I was looking at the can, and it had this preservative called sodium benzenate. Well,
Aha.
there's a couple of different things: sodium benzenate, potassium benzenate, calcium benzenate. Well, it's not so much the preservative is bad by itself, but when you mix it with sorbic acid, citric acid, and then apply heat to it, you have a substance called benzene, and they only allow 1 parts per billion in the water supply. This is a poison, and they
Yep.
find it in pop. They put it in pop. They put in a lot of condiments to preserve the food. And that stuff really makes me nauseous. And I remember I had like some barbecue sauce or something, and I just got the same feeling after eating that can of green beans. I got again. I was just like, "There's something really wrong." When I felt so nauseated, like green from my from my toes all the off to my head. It's totally green from the stuff.
And that was the only thing. Like the rest of the food you ate was like vegetables and fruit, and then you had these cooked green beans, and that's what made you sick. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was very distinct. It was very, just like an after hour. And I remember getting this when I was a kid. I was like, I thought it was just a part of life. I thought everybody felt like this every once in a while. I was like, but yeah, slowly I was like, oh, and then but yeah, I don't, if I have like a little bit of steamed green beans or asparagus or something, I don't have a reaction. But when it's in a can, and there's also other things in the can, so
Yeah.
I just try to stay away from it as much as I can. But I don't think a little bit of some rice or potato or thing like that. I don't really have a reaction with potatoes. I did I tried about like halfway through this diet. I was like, I read this guy who was eating nothing but potatoes for 6 days, and I was like, I'll give that and see what would happen. And I did it, and I was really addicted to potatoes. It was crazy. I was like, I want to get back on the fruit. And I was like, every meal, I was like, first it was just like, not to see what a meal of potatoes was like, and then I wanted another meal, and another one after that. And then I was like, I'm just gonna do an experiment. I'll just do it for I'll do it for 4 more days. And yeah, I liked it a lot, but then I was like, I kind of felt stuffed up I wasn't as regular as I was on the fruit.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting. That seems to bear out what Dr. McDougall says. That we're kind of we evolved eating starches. That's so.
yeah,
But
he's got a good point. I mean, nobody's really eating well, the thing is, like, most starches out there are, if you look at the most biological sense, fruits, all grains are considered fruits. There's
huh.
another name for they're a dry fruit. They're considered a dry fruit. So it's not like we went to, we started off doing a fruit-based diet, but then we never really changed. It's always been a kind of fruity world. We started eating grains and seeds, and those things are, the only thing that doesn't fit in the picture is the starches. Even then, they called it the slang for a potato is called the Irish fruit.
Huh.
So, we haven't really changed all that much. If you go to the grocery store, and usually every grocery store starts off. You walk through the doors, and there's always a produce aisle. Most of the time, it's usually fruits and vegetables that hits you first, and then you go down the aisles. You see the condiment aisle, and it's all fruit based. Everybody's saying, "Oh, how can you give up meat?" I'm like, "How can you give up the A1 sauce it's made out of 5 different fruits? It's made out of orange puree, tomatoes, which is a fruit, black pepper is a fruit, and wherever if they got their vinegar from a grape, that's another fruit. Raisin puree, that's another one. Tamarind puree, and they put that in A1
Well,
sauce.
Mike, it's a great point, and if you think about it, like in nature, we like the brightly colored stuff.
Right.
We're attracted to that, and if you go into a real fancy restaurant, what do they do with the meats and the dishes? They dress them up with these brightly colored fruits and vegetables.
Yeah,
It,
and yeah, nobody eats boiled chicken by itself unless
yeah,
they're throwing salt, which is like kind of like a salt lick. and then they have to add some sugar to it. You know, sweet and sour chicken. It sounds pretty fruity to me. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like yeah, you're a big meat eater, but yeah, you're putting all this fruit all over your food. And all this protein powders, if you look at it, it's all fruit. You know, they got chocolate, which is the fruit, vanilla beans, that's a fruit, and then strawberry and mixed. You know, it's all fruit based. And
That's
then
true.
the yogurt aisle. Nobody eats plain yogurt. Not really. It's strawberry banana yogurt. And I remember the first time I bought yogurt, I was like, oh, this is awful. You know, I want the flavored, the fruit stuff. So if you look, you know, that's a sure sign. You go down in yogurt aisle, everything's fruit based, mixed berries and things like that.
It's a great
Uh,
point. Great
yeah.
point.
So
Um,
we didn't really we didn't get off this whole fruit diet. We're still on it. We just it's a cooked fruit diet. So
right, right. It's a fruit diet. It's a fruit diet that's modified to the point where it creates disease. You know.
yeah. I
But
mean, it's got us by though. So
yeah, yeah. Now there's one thing you mentioned, and then several things tie in with that I want to ask you about. You said that you went through a period where you're thinking about trying to save some money because the fruit's so expensive.
yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, do you have a co-op that you go to locally? Do you try and buy in bulk? How do you get around this?
At first, you know, one of the things that I did first, you know, I would just go to the grocery stores around my house, and I know them all. You know, I've been to all the best produce places out there, and then I would do this Google search for the best fruits, and then I found this website called Yelp.com,
Yeah,
Yelp.com.
yeah.
That website, just put in cheap produce, and you find all these grocery stores. There's a place called Jerry's Fruit Market. It's so good that I even bought their shirts.
All right.
So you could actually buy in bulk here. And I used to go there I used to drive 40 minutes away and get some of the best deals in produce. I get like $12 for a case of oranges, cases of
Wow.
bananas for really cheap. And this is just a grocery store. You actually can go to any grocery store and be like, hey, look, I want to get a box of bananas, and I'm going to probably come in here every week and pick up a box. You know, could you give me a discount? And they'll give it to you. They'll give you a 10% discount. But then I was like, then my friend and me, we got into going to a wholesaler, and we were just buying in bulk there. And the cool thing with them, I've gotten boxes of bananas for $5.
Wow.
$5 for avocados, $5 for grapes. Sometimes they even give me free stuff. The people, and not even regular grocery stores, are like, oh, I'm like, oh, how much for these these bananas are going in a bag? You know, I'll take 80 pounds off you. They're like, oh, we'll just give it to you. You know, we know.
What?
Yeah,
That's
people just
awesome.
because a lot of people are out there, they're like, they think fruit's so expensive, so they don't even bother to look. They give up.
Yeah.
But you know, if you want it, you know, people are out there, and it blows my mind because there's so much free and cheap food, and even talking about free food, during the summertime we got mulberries, and there are mulberries and apples around my house, and I have like 20 pounds in my freezer, you know, free food.
You know,
Food.
Mike, I saw your video on the mulberries and I loved it, man. Mulberries are awesome.
Yeah.
Mulberries are
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Oh, I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
I love them, man.
Um,
Yeah.
all right. So also along these lines, I wanted to ask you, you know, you mentioned your family and you went over there for Thanksgiving. Tell me a little bit about how you manage living this way in a society that doesn't really get what you're doing for the most part, and like going out with folks. I mean, does it become an issue at all? How do you work with that?
Uh, with you know, people are going to be saying, you know, no matter what you do in life, they're always going to like try to, you know, talk bad or try to find something bad with you or something, which is not a bad thing or anything like that. They'll try to judge you with whatever you do. You know, if you're a different religion or you tie your shoes a different way. I mean, it goes on.
Right.
So with I'm like, this is just the way I eat. I maybe at first it was kind of hard because you know, I'd go out to eat with friends that I normally would go out to eat with, and they're like, they'll go to a restaurant, and I have to make sure that that I could bring my avocado. They have salads there.
Yeah.
So, but then the cool thing, I take it as a plus. It helps. Say you got friends that they're not into the diet at all.
Right.
It helps you develop relationships in a whole different new way, not surrounded by food. But you hang out with them working out. You can talk about totally different subjects. They know what I do, and they don't expect anything. But when people are, there's some people that are really nasty to you. They'll try to, and those usually people that are more, or they want to learn as much as they can, but they come off really. They're like, oh, you're a freak or something, and then they're like, well, where do you get your protein? And when you answer that, they're like, ask you, well, yeah, this iron, my daughter's kid, almost died from iron deficiency on a vegan diet or something, and it's just like, but they want to know about it,
Yeah.
but it's hard to entertain questions when they're talking bad about you. So
Right. Right.
when it comes down to that, you don't have to tell people what you do, what you eat. To say and be like, they're seeing me eating a whole bunch of bananas, be like, look, I just feel like eating bananas. They had a big sale on it. You don't have to go elaborate with everybody you meet. Um, some people, if they're interested, I'm not going to waste my time with somebody who's going to, make fun of me or something like that, or try to make fun of me. They could try, but it's
Right.
like,
Right.
but I just do what I do, and it's not a big deal.
And well, let me ask you this. I love that. I love that. And can I ask you, how do you feel about knowing the kind of health that this diet can deliver, and then seeing around you all these folks suffering from all these
That
conditions?
that's
Yeah.
that's the biggest. That's the hardest part on this diet. I got my mom recently just had a heart attack,
Yeah.
and I try to, at least do a vegan diet, any kind of, just get rid of the milk, eggs, dairy, and meats and cholesterol. It's cholesterol. That's the big problem. My
Right.
cholesterol. You're supposed to get under 200. Mine's 98. I'm not gonna have heart disease.
Right.
In this way. But yeah, it's sad. My aunt had my uncle had a heart attack, and he's you know, doing tobacco and things like that. I got sisters that smoke. It's really hard, and you can't be. I try to do my best educating everybody, but they have to turn the wheels for themselves, and you can't be a nagger. It seems like
Right.
when if you're saying, if they're eating like meat or anything like that, you say, oh, uh, you know, you know, think about the animals, or that's not good for your health. They have to do that for themselves, and just say it twice, and if they don't get it, they'll eventually get it, but it's hard to see. But they eventually come around. So all of a sudden, my mom's like, "Oh, I made a smoothie," and she's telling me, about it, and I'm like, I didn't even say anything for like a couple months. I try to just be, and they don't want you don't want to be associated being a nagger too.
Right.
Just do your own thing, and then live by example. That's really big.
All right.
Um,
I
so
like that. Um, Can I ask you, we've talked mostly about health, but I
yeah,
wonder if you could talk a little bit about ecology and ethics in relation to this diet. It sounds like pretty much you came to it for health reasons, but you've been vegetarian a long time, or
yeah.
vegan a long time. So what are your thoughts on ecology, the environment, and also the ethics of this?
I'll do more of the ethics part of it. Just well, I think I know I don't usually talk about animal rights or anything like that, because people just pin you as some kind of oh, you'll destroy your health for some animals, and
Yeah.
that's not the case.
Right.
So I try to avoid that, and I try to get. When I was going through school, they would say, "Oh, you're just biased because you're a vegan. You animal rights," and that's not the case. I come from a health perspective, And just mentally, and so I don't usually bring up animal rights or anything like that. But just mentally, I know that people are more inclined to kill other people when they're doing. I think I read some kind of study showing that people who do a slaughterhouse, they have, they're more prone to be serial killers.
Wow. Wow.
So, it's just, it dulls the senses, it dulls the compassion, you know, doing that kind of work. Um, it's not necessary. The bacteria that's going around in there. There's a bacteria called MRSA, like a multi-drug resistant bacteria. And this is what's killing people in the hospitals. When people come into the hospitals, they get infected by this. Say they're just getting like a heart stent. All of a sudden, they have this infection, and they die from that. They don't die from the heart stent or anything. They die from this infection.
Wow.
And, so, and that's in the meat supply. That's in the meat supply, and everybody knows about salmonella. It's in there, because there's poop all over the food. It's just really gross, and then it's just mind blowing that people still eat this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but people think they have to. That's a big thing. They think they have to do it, which they don't. They get to see fruit. It's so much easier. So
Yeah.
much, you don't even have to, turn on the frying pan and like with the bacon and everything. You have to pour the grease. I never got into it. I never liked going to the grocery store and picking up. I never actually did it, and that was one of the reasons why when I started getting into college and when I moved away from home. I never liked going through the meat aisle. I never did when I was a kid, and I didn't like I didn't like where it was coming from. I didn't never like that I was eating another animal. I never liked that I saw veins in my fried chicken. I was like, oh, that's so gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do if I could, I would love to get away from this. This is just disgusting.
Yeah.
And the meats, they almost look like humans. They got bladders and lungs and kidneys, and it's just gross. It's like it's like being getting trained in anatomy and physiology class. I play with organs and stuff doing that kind of class, so it's just gross.
Mike, you're so right on. You're so
Yeah.
right on.
So I try when I talk to other people, I talk about them because everybody's like me, 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 me. They don't really care about. I mean, there's people that care about animals and they don't think that's a good thing. But I mean, even with the veganism, I'm like, there's only you can only take it so far. I mean, like, it's sad to say, but I mean, like, when you're walking around, you're bound to step on an ant.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
but the thing is, if you could reduce, if it's unnecessary suffering,
Right.
then it benefits us and it benefits them, and it's a win-win situation. So
Yeah. I mean, for I know that now they have like these humane cages and stuff if you have a mouse or a rat or something. But I understand if someone has to do something to like keep pests out of their home or their kitchen, that's part of life. But I like what you're saying, unnecessary. This thing that we don't, there may have been a time in history where humans had to eat these foods to survive, but they don't have to anymore. And so it's just and it's unhealthy, and then of course the environment. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. It
yeah,
seems like.
I'm happy that we can eat everything out in the world. We get to eat the craziest foods out. We get to eat fish eyeballs and things like that. But it's not pleasurable, and it's not worth our health.
Yeah.
It could save us. There was I love that we could be adaptive like that. There was a guy who was stuck in the middle of the ocean. I guess the ship broke down, and all of a sudden he ran out of food, and it's been like a couple of weeks. So he was stabbing fish on the side of the boat, and he would eat the fish, and he would be like, at first he couldn't even stomach it. He couldn't stomach it, and this is a good thing for people changing their diets. But after a while, you just get used to any kind of diet you're eating. that
Yeah.
he would just start eating this fish, and after a while, he would start eating parts of the fish he would never even think about eating. He was eating the organs of the fish and the eyeballs, and each one of those had like different nutrients. There's actually vitamin C in some parts of that, which is
Huh.
what's kept him alive. And he said after a while that it used to repulse him. You wanted to barf at first, but then all of a sudden he started going, oh, that's like chocolate cake. That actually tasted really good to him after a while. And I'm happy that we have these ways to survive in extreme cases, but I think I'm sure if you had some really good papaya instead of the fish, I think you eat the papaya. Besides some crazy fish out there. So
Amen. Amen.
yeah,
There's I don't want to keep you all night, man, but I got a couple
yeah,
more questions
yeah,
for
yeah.
you.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
One that you've answered for me, and I think you said people ask you this a lot, and so I just want to hear you say it again, and maybe you can talk a little bit about it. It's like the calories, your caloric intake. So
Yeah,
the last I heard it was like it can be around 2,600. Are you trying to do more than that now, or does it
no,
vary? Or
I did. I remember I reviewed a study for school, and I was talking about calories and protein, how they mattered on gaining strength and gaining muscle and stuff like that. Well, they showed that protein didn't really all that it didn't matter all that much, but what mattered was the calorie intake. So, and I was reading a lot of people are like, you need as much calories as you can. There's power lifters out there. They're like, you need as much calories as you need. I mean, you need more calories than, beyond satiation. You should eat as much as you can. And
yeah.
so I tried for a month or so eating 4,000 calories a day. I was eating a lot of calories, and I found that I was just sluggish. And I was actually gaining weight, not muscle, just fat. All right, you can gain fat on this diet if you really pushed it, but that's beyond satiation. You really have to struggle. I mean, I
Yeah.
was eating a lot of banana smoothies, and I was really trying to, because I was trying any way to gain more strength on the diet, and the only thing, I mean, like, I'm eating less calories and I'm doing better. So it's a controversy because some people tell me they're like, oh, if I go lower than 3,000, I'm not feeling good. And plus, I'm a shorter guy. I'm like, according to the calculations that I learned at school for calorie intake,
Yep.
I'm meeting that need every single day for my fitness activity and just staying alive and things like that. So some days I eat more than 2,500 calories, and some days I even eat less. I try not to think about it. I think the body is really, instead of getting some theoretical number that your body, you know, some days I'm going to be hungrier than others. I try not to pay attention to it anymore. I just eat when I'm hungry, so I'm satiated, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's
I
3 times.
love I love what you're saying. I think it's a great point. It's like don't be too rigid about it. And
There, yeah. Oh, let me finish. There is one thing, and I noticed a lot of these power lifters. They're really overweight. Some of these guys, and some of the best lifters out there are really overweight. And there is such. I think there is something I want to coin it as. I hate to say it, the fat, but it's like fat guy strength. I've seen people who are humongous, never even touched the weight before, and they're just naturally strong. Like Richard, one of these guys at Woodstock, he's like 500 pounds, and he almost pulled a 500-pound deadlift. I'm like,
wow.
that took me. I'm still getting there, and I work so hard, and for somebody to just have to be just being overweight makes you stronger because you're always moving around with that
Yeah,
weight,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is really cool. I mean, if you're overweight and you're obese and stuff, that's a plus that you have that compared to the people who are just already lean all the time. That you could gain that strength. You have that strength already. and you can just drop that weight, and you can be super strong just by lowering that weight that you have.
That is a very interesting point, Mike. That's a great way to look at it. Because you got to carry around that weight, so you got to develop the musculature to carry that weight around.
Yeah, and some power lifters out there, some of the best power lifters, benching 1,000 pounds, they're like, I have to eat so many calories because my bench suit won't fit properly, and they're eating like 10,000 calories because they want to keep that fat on them, the
Well,
calorie intake.
I'm really glad you brought this up. It was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and it seems that something does happen among the weightlifting community where these folks are eating like protein and a lot of calories, and they get this kind of magazine bulk attractive look, and I'm wondering, how real is that? How strong are they? And I think of like animals in nature,
Yeah,
and animals are pretty lean, but they're
yeah,
also pretty damn strong.
yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Uh, when it comes to yeah, let's see how to formulate. Well, like a lot of things that you see in the magazines and things like that, you never know what these people are doing. Even if they say they're not doing steroids, there's a good possibility that they are
Yeah.
tweaking their muscles, tweaking their hormones, and they could go to a doctor, and the doctor can be like, "Oh, you're a little bit lower in testosterone." It could be a medical condition, but really, there's no way to say, "Oh, this is the official thing for testosterone." So they have these anti-aging doctors that just prescribe these guys, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're just going to tweak your hormones a little bit, get you back to going where everybody else is." But there's no norm of what that is. So
Right.
for
Right.
prescribing testosterone like it's nothing, and just doing steroids alone will make you stronger. Which is just testosterone,
You
and
mean
they
you mean
found
you're what you're saying is without lifting any weight, if you
yes,
take
there was
steroids, you get
there was
stronger.
a, there was a study comparing people who lift weights to people who don't even lift weights with just doing steroids, and they found that people just doing steroids um, had more muscle and were stronger than the people who are lifting weights. Even
Wow.
so, no, not even lifting weights. The people who are lifting weights, these people are just naturally stronger.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
and maybe you could add in here, what are the negative effects on the body of using steroids?
well, to me, I think that the body's always trying to regulate its own hormones. It just even in 30 in even in 30 minutes, your hormones can change. But somehow people think, oh, I'm gonna be. I know it's better than I know myself better than my body knows itself.
Right.
So they're
Right.
gonna take all these hormone supplements, and it's really wacky because people think. And sometimes when you have too much testosterone, it leads to testicular cancer, cancer of the balls and things. I actually knew a guy who took steroids and he had cancer of the balls. Um,
Yeah.
and also, when you're taking artificial testosterone, the body, maybe it didn't need so much testosterone at the moment, but this person keeps on taking this testosterone, and they're getting bigger and they're bigger and stronger and everything. But the body, there's a reason why the body fluctuates with testosterone. Maybe the body just doesn't need the testosterone, to be that high at the moment, but they keep on giving it. So the body says, "Oh, forget it. Since I'm getting this outside source, why do I need my testicles? Why do I need this anymore?" So what happens is that the body says, "Oh, don't need my balls anymore," so they shrivel up. And when you go off this stuff, you start getting breasts, and because the estrogen goes way off, and yeah, people have to, when they're going on these testosterone or this in all this crazy hormone stuff, is that the body goes out of whack, and you start having some really big
Yep.
issues, and people will
Yep.
say, "Oh, that's worth it." I was listening. You go on YouTube and find people they actually plan for that. They're like, yeah, if you're going to if you're getting some scholarship for football, you should just juice to your eyeballs, and and then you're you're gonna make so much money. You're gonna make $1 million that after a while you could just buy a hormone replacement after a while. After you make all that money, well, yeah, to me it's not worth it. The money's not worth it.
No, no.
It's not
Yeah,
worth your health because like if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
yeah,
So another thing with testosterone, messes up with your bone structure, gets you back acne, and plus it just doesn't look natural when somebody has got these huge traps or like up to their ears, and they can't even fit through a door. And what's this whole idea? And the whole thing, the reason why they're doing it is because they want to take up as much space in the world as they can. Like, for what? Why? So you can eat more calories, so you can spend more money on that. For what? And women don't even like it. That's another thing. People do it for women. Women hate. They look. It's awful.
yeah,
Women don't like that kind of look. They
yeah.
want to be slim. They want to see somebody slim and fit and healthy.
I used to work in a gym, and there was a bodybuilder there. The guy was so big he couldn't wipe his own ass.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I
Ridiculous.
know. I know. It's sad, and I get a lot of people who are saying, "Well, you don't look that big. You don't look that big." I'm like, "Well, who are you comparing me to? Like Jay Cutler?" He even in one of his latest videos, he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to put back my mass on and stuff like this. I'm trying to make a better illusion of my physique." I was like, "Illusion of your physique?"
Yeah.
And some of these people, even though they're super strong, there's one thing that steroids do not give you, and that's muscle memory. And muscle memory, it's like writing, learning to write for the first time.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever you're a kid, you're like, "Oh God." There's one thing that, yeah. So they're if they're doing like a deadlift or anything like that, and I made a video on that guy. Basically, what happens is that the the body's not used to that kind of movement. Even if you're super strong, if
Yeah.
you're not used to a certain movement or like riding your bike at the first time, you have all the strength for it, but you might fall off the bike at first because you don't know how to balance yourself. So
Right.
it's just
The brain records the action. Like the first
yeah,
time you do it, it's new, and
yeah,
then I think it's I can't remember the word either, but there's a word for it, and the body starts to learn it, and then once it learns it, it's like a repetitive. It's kind of like it's like a program that the
yeah,
body.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and
Oh,
yeah, that's
I know the term. I know the term. It's engram. Engram.
huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, without that, that's one thing you could catch these people really quick if they're just doing steroids. And you see these people that do horrible form with their bench press, they're just going like this. It's just like I seen this one kid at when I was going to the school at the gym there. He was huge, but then when you look at his form and everything, it's just terrible. I'm like, how did this guy get so big? Doing that, and it just blows my mind. People want to do that. I mean, I guess in another line, I guess that's you know, I guess if for sports enhancement and everything, I guess it's kind of cool, but I don't think we have the technology. You always have to be kind of. To me, if I was going to do anything like tweaking my hormones that we checked out every single day, but these people they're not doctors, and they're just playing doctor with themselves with some powerful drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Intentionally kill them.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
dangerous.
It's a
I
great
don't know.
point. Great point. Mike, can you say for us the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, yeah. It's Fruit and Strength on YouTube. So
Okay, and do you have a website also, or is that your
no,
primary?
no.
Okay,
I'm going to be having well, I'm just starting a website. It'll be called Fruit, the letter N, Strength.com. So that's
gotcha.
the one I'm going to be having up pretty soon. And yeah, so I got that. Also, are we going to be talking about Woodstock? Because I'm going to be at the Woodstock Food Festival too. So
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I want you to talk about that. And I know you were there recently, right?
yeah, yeah. I've
And
been every year I went there. So
awesome, awesome.
so
And
yeah,
did you speak this year?
yeah. I did a class on weightlifting. On how the class is called how to have elite strength on a fruit-based diet, and then
Yep.
I did a sprint class, a hill sprint class, and then I did some weightlifting classes. So, people could do exactly what I do for my workouts. And I also
Cool.
did a recipe demo class, which also I did a recipe demo talking about salad dressings. That's the only recipes I do. It's just salad dressings. I don't
Yep.
really make anything different. I'll have like fruit during the day, just like a mono meal, just one particular fruit till I'm full, and then at night I'll make like a salad dressing. And I came out with a little recipe book. Here it is,
All
and
right.
it's called the
Yeah.
Fruit and Strength. Let me see if you see that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good. You can read it.
I'll,
Yeah, that's
I'll
cool.
give you
That's cool.
a link to that, and it's all like I got like 50 different salad dressing recipes and ice cream sauce recipes in here. The best recipes I've developed in 5 6 years since I've been on this diet. So
I got to tell you, Mike, I think you've got one of the best machines for processing fruit. I saw it on one of your videos. It's a hammer that you pulled out of the
oh
drawer in the kitchen.
yeah, what one person told me, like, you gotta have a blender for that diet. You can't make blender. You can't make this banana ice cream without a blender. And I was like, I can make it. I could do it. So you just take frozen bananas and you thaw them out a little bit. And you smash them up. You could take a 45-pound plate, or I was thinking about making another video and using my car and running it over the bananas. So you can make frozen banana, banana ice cream. Just smash up frozen banana. That's all it is.
Very
So
creative. Very creative.
yeah, I got some other wild videos coming out. So
All
some
right.
interesting things.
Um, what else was I going to ask you? So let's see. So Woodstock's been happening for several years now, and I understand you had about 600 people up there.
Yeah, a lot of people.
And what sounds really cool about it is just the tremendous quantities of fruit that you have at your disposal there. It sounds pretty cool, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's nice. Every year it gets better and better. Um, yeah, it's great. I mean, unlimited fruit. You don't have to worry about. Oh, the cool thing. I mean, people are like, oh, it's like $800, but you got to factor out how much money you spend a week on food. Subtract that, and then
That's
plus
true.
you got the vacation, you got all the education, you got all the exercise. Even for me, they have these hills, right? I was walking up these hills, and I lost like 6 pounds, not doing anything. So people who want to lose weight, lose like I met somebody who's doing a bodybuilding show, and he lost 10 pounds there,
Wow. Wow.
pounds, and I think he even met other people losing more weight than that. I mean, that's kind of rapid weight loss, but just in a week span, this year's gonna be 2 weeks. Next year, in the 2014 is gonna be 2 weeks. So I'm gonna be doing 2 weeks there too.
Let
And
me let me ask you just about the logistics of it. Once you sign up for it, does that mean that you can go to any lecture you want, or do you also pay for lectures, or how does that work?
you go to the first Woodstock. I went to 35 different lectures.
Wow.
So yeah, my top lectures I liked was from Ann Osborne. She's been doing a pure fruit diet, and really interesting stuff. I like her stuff. Doug Graham's a really excellent speaker. He's also
Yep.
got a really hard fitness class.
That's what I hear.
I was really shocked at how hard that was, and I was like, the first year I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy, whatever. I just for a joke. Yeah. Oh yeah, another thing I want to say that I bought his book and I bought it as like a novelty purchase the first time, and I was like, oh, this is just a joke. This guy's living on fruit, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then it's the real deal. So he's deadlifting 315 pounds. He actually did that this year at the Woodstock Fruit Festival. 315 pounds to give you an aspect of how significant that is. Men's Fitness Magazine, seeing people that are like, oh, they promote a high protein diet, says that if you are deadlifting more than double your body weight, that's considered beastly. Beastly, they say.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
I'm trying to go for 2 times beastly. I'm going to try to get 4 times my body weight.
There you are. There you are. But I better
Yeah.
wrap it up. But there was something. What was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your schedule. Like, you have a full-time job. Is your job associated with diet or not?
I have a social I'm assistant coach some seasons of the year.
But other
Okay.
than that, I've been trying to find something else to do, non-diet wise, because it seems really controversial. But I don't make a lot of money, on YouTube or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
this is my full-time job doing fitness.
Well, it's cool,
So
man.
I'm trying. I'm thinking about trying to get into getting a personal training
Yeah,
certificate. So
dude, you'd be an awesome personal coach, man. Be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
yeah.
this has been really great. I've wanted to do this for so long, and I'm going to keep watching your videos. And
Thank you.
you inspire me, man. You inspire me. I'm not completely raw yet, but on the way. And it's just thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, oh, you're welcome, man. Yeah, the main thing is the most important thing I think everybody can do eating a vegan diet. It doesn't matter if you're doing all totally raw, but just hit the weights. That's the only way. That's the main number one thing that people don't normally. I mean, they're so scared about trying out this diet or a vegan diet because of their protein. That's the first question that you guys get. The first
Yep.
question we get. And if we can nail out that question,
Yep.
then everybody will be doing it.
Well,
There's
that's
no
what I
doubt in
love
my
about.
mind that that's number one thing.
Yeah, and you're a living example of how easily you get enough protein. And not only do you get enough protein, you're excelling, beyond the normal level. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Oh, and let me tell you one thing. About like a year or so ago, this one lady, she was giving plasma, and I was asking her about it. She's like, "Oh yeah, you should try giving plasma, and they'll pay you for it, and then they'll give make sure you got to eat a lot of protein before you go in because you're gonna be because they'll send you back if you're protein deficient." I was like,
oh,
"Oh, cool." So you know what I did? I ate grapes. I just ate grapes in the day before I went in. And they're like, "Yep, your protein levels are great. You could take a seat over there. We'll draw your blood." So
that's
actually, and plasma is a protein part of the blood. So I was actually giving my excess protein away.
that's awesome. That's an awesome testimony, Mike. Yeah, yeah. So scientifically verified, you get enough protein from grapes.
Right, right. There you go. That's
That's
all.
awesome. It's awesome. Well, listen, man. Um, just keep on going, man. Keep
Yeah, I
on
will.
going.
I mean, I got powerlifting shows that I want to do, and it's sky's the limits too. I just got to keep on hitting the weights. Oh God. So yeah, I want to get a 500-pound deadlift by at least that by next year's Woodstock.
All
So
right, man. All
ordered
right.
time.
I have no doubt that you'll do it. I have no doubt.
It's crazy. That's supposed to be beyond elite. So I don't know for my weight class. So it's intimidating. I've never done anything like that before. So
Well, listen, man. I know how busy you are, and I really appreciate you taking out this time for me. I appreciate it.
you're welcome,
But I
man.
think I think some people, I'm gradually getting more viewers, and I think some people will see this.
Oh
It's
yeah,
kind of a longer format. It's a way for people to really get to know you. I think so. So
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I love this interview format that we got. Yeah, it was awesome. We covered a lot of good points, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right, Mike.
all right. I see you,
Take it
man.
easy, my friend.
You too, man.
All right.
Uh,
Bye.
Cool. That one good. That one good.
That was good. Yeah, yeah.
That was good.
Let's see here. I tell you what, when we stop, it's gonna hang up on us. But I'll just say that I've been interviewing Mike Vlasity for rawandcookedvegan.com, and he's an excellent example of what kind of weightlifting can be achieved on a high carb, high fruit diet. So
Yeah.
check
Yeah.
him out.
Thanks.
All
That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome.
Take it easy, brother.
All right, you too, man.
All right.